One night, the king of Israel sought a voice from beyond. He turned away from the temple and the prophets to find a forbidden path. He sought out a medium, a choice that has puzzled Bible readers for thousands of years. What happened next remains a profound mystery. A dead prophet appeared, delivering a final, chilling judgment. But was it truly Samuel, or was it something else pretending to be him? To solve this mystery, we must look back at the tragic path of Israel's first king. Saul was once the hope of a nation. Chosen by God and anointed by the prophet Samuel, Saul was empowered to lead. In his early days, he was humble, courageous, and faithful. But success slowly changed the king. He began making decisions based on fear rather than faith, drifting away from his divine calling. He offered sacrifices he was not permitted to perform and ignored God's commands. His heart began to harden against the truth. When ordered to destroy the Amalekites, he spared the king and the best livestock. To Saul, it was a compromise. To God, it was rebellion. Samuel confronted him with words that echo through history. To obey is better than sacrifice. From that moment, everything began to shift. The prophet left, the Spirit of the Lord departed, and God chose another king in David. Saul was left to navigate his reign alone. Years later, the Philistine army gathered like a sea of steel. Saul looked upon the massive force and was overwhelmed by deep, paralyzing fear. For the first time, he desperately needed God's guidance. He prayed, he sought dreams, and he consulted priests, but the heavens remained silent. The man who had always spoken God's words, Samuel, was dead. The silence from above felt absolute, pushing Saul to a desperate decision. Earlier in his reign, Saul had driven all mediums out of Israel. He knew God's law forbade such practices, yet he chose to defy it. He disguised himself, leaving his royal robes behind. Under the cover of darkness, he traveled with two companions toward the village of Endor. There lived a woman known for contacting spirits. When Saul arrived, she hesitated, fearing a trap because of the king's own past decrees. Saul swore an oath, ironically invoking the name of the God he was currently disobeying, promising the woman she would face no punishment. He made his request. "Bring up Samuel." What happened next is one of the most mysterious and terrifying moments in the entire Bible. The woman suddenly screamed in terror. She did not just gasp. She cried out because she realized the man before her was King Saul. She described an old man rising, wrapped in a robe. Saul could not see the figure himself, but he knew immediately it was Samuel. The figure spoke with a heavy tone, asking why he was disturbed. Saul poured out his fear, explaining his desperation for guidance. The response was devastating. "Why do you ask me, since the Lord has turned away from you?" The judgment was final and cold. The message mirrored exactly what Samuel had said while alive. God had rejected Saul, and the kingdom would soon belong to David. The figure added that by the next day, Saul and his sons would be dead. There was no comfort, only the weight of divine justice. The king collapsed to the ground, every ounce of hope vanishing. But the mystery remains. Was this truly the prophet Samuel? Some believe it was Samuel because the prophecy came true exactly as spoken. The message aligned perfectly with God's previous warnings. Others argue that God would never allow a medium to summon a prophet, suggesting it was a deceptive spirit mimicking the man of God. A third view suggests God intervened directly, using the moment to pronounce the final sentence, regardless of the woman's own rituals. In this view, the woman's scream makes perfect sense. She was witnessing something completely beyond her own power and control. The Bible never explicitly explains the truth, and perhaps that silence is intentional. The story is clearly not an endorsement of witchcraft. Saul's downfall began years earlier, when he repeatedly ignored God's voice. His visit to Endor was merely the final step of his decline. The tragedy wasn't that Saul couldn't find guidance. It was that he had ignored it when it was freely and clearly given. The next day, the prophecy was fulfilled. The Philistines defeated Israel, Saul's sons were killed, and the king fell upon his own sword. The greater mystery isn't who appeared in that room. It is why a man who once heard God clearly ended his life searching in darkness. When we reject God's guidance, we may eventually find ourselves in a silence we created. It serves as a warning for us today. What do you think happened that night? Share your thoughts below and subscribe to Divine and Beyond for more journeys into biblical mysteries.